Welcome back, ladies and gents, and we are finally here. We are finally here at the finals, in the final round of the day in Charlotte, North Carolina. My name is Adam Darcott, joined by the ever wonderful Tommy Coolleen.
Yeah, we have a phenomenal finals match, probably the premier match of the entire tournament, the match we've been waiting to see once again, rematch from Swiss Ashton Cox and Wolfe Glick.
Yeah, the rematch of Swiss and the rematch of the 2015 finals in Massachusetts, I believe. So these players matching up at the regional level. Obviously moved on from those regionals in 2015. Between that time, they've had international championships, world championships between them. And yeah, lots of matches, I'm sure, along the way.
Yeah, so we got a very interesting dynamic. We have the very slow teams from Wolfe, these defensive teams with Will-O-Wisp, multiple forms of recovery and forms of roost and recover, as opposed to the teams that Ashton's been bringing today. He's bringing the Dragon Dance on multiple Pokemon. He's got the Choice Specs, Tapu Fini, just a complete contrast of styles of play, and we're going to see two of the Titans go at it to see which one comes out on top.
Yeah, we're really going to see them put their style to the best. Obviously, they played in Swiss yesterday. Ashton took game one, and then Wolfe really grinding out that game 2 and 3 situation. So curious to see if he can replicate that in this finals, the one that really, really matters.
Yeah,
Ashton knows a lot of the tricks.
Yeah, he was able to pull out a similar game last round against Nate. Wolfe was able to grind out that slow game in the game 2, whittling on the Tapu Fini with the Toxic. Ashton just forcing a very offensive game against his sets with Sean, being able to set up those Dragon Dances, being able to put on so much work with that Mega Salamence with the Dragon Dance, even able to use that Mega Salamence to hit some very defensive steel types in Metagross, in Aegislash, just being able to bully his way through those Pokemon with those Dragon Dance boosts after getting some free turns to buy with Spore.
Yeah, there's so many things that these teams can do to come together. We do see the trainers are pretty much ready to head on over into battle there, so we're getting very, very close. Ready to face off for one final time here today. It's been a long time coming, and I know when the bracket first came out, pretty much everyone said, yep, Ashton Wolfe, that's the finals we want.
Yeah, and absolutely. These are two of the best players in the world, in the country, and I don't think there is a two competitors with so much history in this North American region as these two players as far as current success. These are two of the players that have had the most success in recent years. Wolfe still, despite not doing as well at the World Championships last year, still squeaking into top 16. Ashton with the Internet's win in Brazil. So both of them, despite having a lot, like you said, going on since that matchup in 2015, have still been at the top of the game ever since and have kept rolling.
Yeah, I mean, Ashton's the most recent one, obviously the top 4 over in Sydney earlier this year, so really, really well played there. Changing up his team, though, from that, which I like. I think at this point in the season, before we get to what I consider crunch time, the Nationals, the Worlds, you really want to have variety in those.
Yeah, just switching up a little bit here and there, rocking a lot of the same stuff, but with small tweaks every so often. And then Wolfe playing a team that we saw a lot earlier this year from him, and kind of dropped off the map a little bit, but he's brought it back with that Charizard Milotic core that's been so cool for him.
Yep, I mean, there is going to be a distinct lack of Incineroar in this finals, but the teams are up. Wolfe will be playing on the left-hand side of the screen with the Charizard, the Landorus, Aegislash, Tapu Bulu, Milotic, and Tyranitar, coming against Ashton Cox's selection of Tapu Koko, Amoonguss, Tyranitar of his own, a Tapu Fini, the Aegislash, and the Salamence. So a nice variety there in the Island Guardians. 3 of them, Tapu Lele weirdly the one missing out, and a little bit of similarity in at least 1, if 2 of the Pokemon.
Yeah, we're just going to have to see how Wolfe can maybe handle these Dragon Dancing Pokemon on Ashton's side, the Tyranitar and the Salamence, both are huge threats to Wolfe's team. You can't go for Will-O-Wisp into those Pokemon. You can go for it into the Salamence. You can't go for it into the T-Tart if Misty Terrain is in fact up. So how is Wolfe going to be able to slow down these two Pokemon? He has the Intimidate from that Landorus, going to be able to cycle in and out, has the Choice Scarf, can U-turn out quite a bit. And that Milotic does threaten that Salamence a little bit, so has to be very careful about when he's bringing that onto the field.
Yeah, definitely careful and cautious selections on how to activate these Pokemon. Use them to the very, very best of their ability. We see Ashton locking in his team first. I don't think it's too relevant because they've both taken over a minute. But he's probably learned some lessons from his games yesterday, particularly games 2 and 3 that he lost. Learning from those, being able to move on and try and take those pieces of knowledge and form it into a better strategy for today.
Yeah, and like the previous matches we've seen from Ashton on stream today, his opponent does not have a way to block the Amoonguss from going for Spore. It does have the Tapu Bulu, not one of those Tapu Fini or the Tapu Koko. So if Ashton does choose to use the Amoonguss, does have the Charizard X, which does threaten it a little bit, but as we saw, the Incineroar and the Blaziken earlier were not enough to stop that Amoonguss.
Yeah, just not quite there when it comes to shutting down Amoonguss. It's very, very difficult. All of those Island Guardians taking the field in the first turn, just going to be able to clarify their speeds. Tapu Koko obviously going first. Tapu Bulu following up second, and that leaves just the one more. Tapu Fini, Misty Surge last. So Tapu Bulu's damage output will be reduced, as will Tapu Koko's. And this Milotic's kind of just in there looking a little bit like a lone sheep.
That Tapu Bulu is going to be threatening both of these Tapu Koko and the Tapu Fini, and despite setting up the Misty terrain, Woodhammer should be enough to pick up a knockout on that Tapu Fini if Ashton doesn't do a little bit of cycling here. That Tapu Koko is also not one of the offensively invested Tapu Koko. It is CSL Fest, so not really threatening the Milotic all too much. Going to do a decent amount of damage if it does decide to target it down, but
Milotic's still scared and actually decides to leave the field in place of this Tyranitar. That means we're going to get our first activation of a Weather in this one, with the Sandstream coming into play, as Tapu Koko decides to get Tapu Bulu out the way with a Sky Drop. Tapu Fini starting off with these Moonblasts. It's got the choice specs, and the Moonblast into the Tyranitar is going to bring it so low, and also lower its special attack. Don't think it's going to be relevant, but it's just nice to see.
Yeah, a little bit of damage there, and Tapu Bulu is free to now to just, when it gets dropped, it can either fire a Woodhammer into that Tapu Koko or the Tapu Fini. Going to do a lot of damage to either Pokemon, likely picking up a knockout on that Tapu Fini if it does decide to target that down, and the Fini does stay in. Does not want to necessarily give the Tyranitar Dragon Dance here, but might be forced to if he wants to keep his Tapu Fini around for the later parts of the game.
Yeah, especially with the turn order. With that in mind, Tapu Fini leaving the field for a Moongus to come in, so this would be a really great turn for Dragon Dance actually from Wolfe here. Tapu Koko does release Tapu Bulu from the Sky Drop. That's going to come down, take a little bit more damage, not too wild though. Tapu Bulu does decide to Woodhammer. The Woodhammer though heading towards what was a Tapu Fini, now an Amoonguss, not too scared of it at all. Tyranitar weaves in its first Dragon Dance of this game.
Yeah, and with that Dragon Dance, he's going to be able to threaten that Amoonguss with the Dark Z move that we saw earlier in top 4, and definitely with the +1 boost, should be able to pick up a knockout on that Amoonguss. So despite switching in and being able to threaten the Tapu Bulu a little bit with something like Clear Smog or Sludge Bomb, has to deal with that Tyranitar that can just go for that Dark type Z move. Being so low though, it is in range to just get picked off by even that non-invested Tapu Koko.
Yeah, I mean the Tapu Koko with something like Volt Switch should be able to get there. Yes, there's the sand to try and help out, but it's still going to be kind of reaching a little bit to try and to cling on from that one. It's going to be arguably a tougher sell for Tyranitar to reliably stay around, and maybe Tyranitar has to buy a turn with a Protect, let Tapu Bulu knock out this Tapu Koko, and then start going after the Amoonguss.
Yeah. And Tapu Bulu switching out here into the lander to get that Intimidate down, but is the Tyranitar going to stay in and try and go for that Dark Sea move on the Amoonguss?
Well, I think that's going to be a big decision. The big thing here, though, Amoonguss can't Spore because of that misty terrain, so it's got to be careful. Tyranitar does decide to Protect, so trying to find a better opening to fire off that Dark Z move, and it actually matches the Protect of the Amoonguss over on Ashton's side. Electro Web looks like it's going to be coming out, not affecting Landorus either, and this is a very, very big play for Wolfe. He's now set himself in a perfect position after calling the Protect on Amoonguss to basically start taking knockouts the next turn.
Unfortunately, the Scarf Landorus should be outspeeding this Tyranitar even after the Dragon Dance, so the Dark Z move would be going first into the Amoonguss and the Earth Power then following up, or rather, that's actually exactly... the Earth Power going into the Amoonguss first, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Scarf Landorus should be able to do exactly what he needs in this one. See if he can deal with something like the Tapu Koko, just so he doesn't get Bolt switched on.
Right.
Just make sure he's always in that kind of winning position. And even if the Tapu Koko doesn't decide to attack it, it doesn't have the option to Protect, but it may switch to take that Earth Power a little bit better, then Amoonguss is still going to have to kind of eat a Dark Z move on its own.
Oh, and no Rage Powder.
Yeah, no Rage Powder at all there. From this Amoonguss, the attack with a critical hit, heading towards the Tapu Koko on Ashton's side and knocking it out comfortably. It's finally time. We've seen the Protects burned and matched in the previous turn, and Wolfe will be activating his Darkinium Z and a Black Hole Eclipse on this Tyranitar.
Yeah, and Salamence has not hit the field yet, so with that +1 stage of attack, this should absolutely knock out that Amoonguss, and it's going to be a huge knockout as now Tapu Fini, as we know, is that Choice Specs variant in the back, not going to be able to protect in front of the Scarf Landorus and this boosted Tyranitar. So with that clean knockout on Amoonguss, that puts Wolfe into a very commanding position.
Yeah, Wolfe's really taking the initiative here. I mean, the Tapu Fini is going to have to come back in alongside another mystery Pokemon on Ashton's side. But, Wolfe still has all 4 of his to go and play this one through. Tapu Fini, obviously the one first revealed, and Salamence. to round it out. So Tapu Bulu, interesting, will deal with the Tapu Fini. Milotic can kind of deal with the Salamence. So whatever's in the back is pretty much there to win this game for Wolf. Just needs to get some big damage down first hand with this Landorus and Tyranitar combo.
Yeah, it looks like Tyranitar is going to be able to get one more Rock Slide off before it goes down to either a Return or a Moonblast here, something of the like. Landorus could just be switching out here, as we do know it is the special variant. Could be switching back in and maybe going for something like a Him Power Ice into the Salamence. Just getting another Intimidate down on it can slow it down as well. Tapu Bulu can come in eventually and deal with the Tapu Fini, but he has to deal with that Salamence first. So if he's able to get a Rock Slide onto the Salamence and then pick up a knockout, he can safely bring in the Tapu Bulu and just try and push for a knockout on that Tapu Fini to steal game.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is get after the Salamence now, and then you'll be able to start knocking things out. I do think there's an option here as well. For Landorus to actually leave the field, it does decide to switch out. Going to be able to take a different move of choice when it comes back in with that Choice Scarf, and Milotic will come in. Salamence, of course, Mega Evolving. Time to get access to a slightly better ability. You're not going to be able to switch out and in anymore, so you may as well take an ability that helps your damage.
Yeah, so the Aerial A coming out, and Rock Slide is going to connect, and it is going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, Rock Slide does hit both. Brings them both down about 40-45% of the way. No flinch on the Salamence, so Salamence starting out with a return into that Milotic. And Tapu Fini doesn't flinch either. Will go for a Muddy Water. Does just have to deal the damage to both. Tyranitar is gone, so no more Rock Slide shenanigans there. And Milotic clinging on with a little bit of his health.
Yeah, and Milotic activating that Berry with that attack, so Milotic going to heal out of potentially return range, almost certainly if that Landorus does come back in and intimidates the Salamence. So if Salamence does get intimidated by that Landorus on the switch in, you have two Pokemon on the field in the Milotic and the Landorus that could threaten the Salamence with both an Ice move from the Milotic and a Hidden Power Ice from that Landorus. So as long as one of the two Pokemon connects over the next 2 turns, Wolf is in a very commanding position to just knock out the Tapu Fini with the Tapu Bulu.
The basic premise here for Wolf is actually just to leave Tapu Fini right now, because he's got Tapu Bulu in the back and it's locked into Muddy Water.
Right.
So both that piece of information, you can just keep throwing attacks at Salamence till you bust through a Protect or failed triple Protect in some cases, and then you'll be able to just win the game as soon as Tapu Bulu comes in or grab control of its terrain and just Wood Hammer for the victory. We even know it's faster.
Yeah.
The big thing there, though, is just Wolf has to safely get to that point. There is always the option, if Ashton's allowed to just Muddy Water over and over again, to do that. He's actually not even going to try and go after the Salamence with the Landorus. Sludge Bomb starting out the turn. Return connecting with Landorus. And Tapu Fini is going to avoid or miss with both of its Muddy Waters, allowing Milotic just to Icy Wind both of them back.
Yeah, probably feeling safe with your Milotic there. So you just feel you can go for that Icy Wing, get the knock or get the speed drop on the Salamence, put it in a lot easier position to handle. Now, even something like the Sludge Bomb would be able to knock out the Salamence. So just throw something like a Sludge Bomb into Tapu Fini, maybe throw the Icy Wind to the Salamence. Even just a Scald from this range would probably pick up the Salamence. So very safe play from Wolf, I think, just making sure that get the speed drop, put yourself in a position where you don't have to worry about missing.
Yep, well, Landorus dealing with Tapu Fini there with another Sludge Bomb. Only took 2, wasn't too much of an ask there. As Salamence will return, will try and pick up some knockouts here. Milotic taking the brunt of that one, but comfortably holding on to it. As Scald will connect and give Wolfe Glick a 1-0 lead in the finals here in Charlotte.
Yeah, it was a really great opening from Wolf. He got into a position where very early on in the game he was able to pick up knockouts and not take too much damage. The Amoonguss went down to that Dark Sea, and as soon as he got that first Dragon Dance off, we see Ashton go for Sky Drop into the Tapu Bulu, which didn't really stop the Tapu Bulu from doing too much. But as soon as the Tyranitar came in, the Tapu Koko was forced to stay on the field to drop the Tapu Bulu, which gave the Tyranitar a free turn to just go for that Dragon Dance.
Yeah, it was kind of an awkward play, I think, there from Ashton. I don't really know what his end game was with something like that. Sky Drop, it just wasn't there. It's really helpful to stop a setup Pokemon, but it doesn't always pay off in the way you'd hope. And then you're actually up in the air the next turn. You can't do anything about it. It's a really, really unique move.
Yeah, like you keep the Tapu Bulu on the field so that the Amoonguss can come in and maybe threaten it with something like a Clear Smog. But in the same vein, you keep your Tapu Koko on the field so that Ashton can, or Wolf rather, can pivot into something that handles that Amoonguss quite better. And it was in fact that. That Tyranitar with a Dragon Dance easily able to pick up the knockout, and Salamence just not hit the field soon enough and easily picking up a knockout with the Dark Sea move.
Yeah, I think Salamence needs to be more integral to this team, but Ashton learnt the hard way yesterday. This Salamence isn't the easiest Pokemon for him to play with against the Milotic, against the Hidden Power Ice on this Choice Scarf Special Landorus. It's not an easy sell for him to bring it. And as well, if you do bring Salamence in, you're still going up against a Tyranitar, which is still kind of afforded the time to boost up with Dragon Dance.
I think the big play from that game was just that Sky Trap, losing all the momentum. So just making sure that you have ways to pivot into the correct Pokemon and not locking yourself into something like that puts them in a lot better spot. If a Moongus were to say come in on the turn that the Tapu Koko was going for that Sky Drop, if it was able to hit the field right then and there, he would have been able to hold on to the momentum they had in the early game, not taking the Wood Hammer from the Tapu Bulu onto the Tapu Fini, but it just ended up killing all of his momentum. So I think he has the right idea. He can bring sort of similar Pokemon, but just not making a play like that puts him at such a loss if Wolfe also makes a correct defensive switch.
Yeah, I think the switching is going to be so important, I think, in this one from Wolfe. It's something he's always been very good at. It's always been something he prides himself on. And in that one, I think the switching would be more offensively considered.
Right.
Because he was just always putting himself in a position to start taking knockouts the following turn. Speaking of switching, though, we do have an adaptation in the leads here from Wolfe. He is going to be sticking with the Tapu Bulu, but he's changed up his partner for it in this one, putting it alongside the Charizard.
Yeah, and we will see the same lead from Ashton. And one of the great things about this Charizard X is it's not going to be taking that much damage from the Tapu Koko, especially this Assault Vest variant of the Tapu Koko. And it can fire off something like a Flare Blitz. Oftentimes, you don't see Wolfe going for Flare Blitz early on in the games, but with Will-O-Wisp blocked off, because this Misty Terrain does go up, the Tapu Fini is the slowest thing on the field. He's going to be forced to be either going for something like a Flare Blitz or just switching out and trying to find a little bit of a better board position.
Yeah, I think Mega Evolving isn't a bad thing. Maybe trying to get some damage down on the Tapu Koko and allow Tapu Bulu to deal with Tapu Fini if you're in Wolf's shoes. Ashton, though, needs to find a way to deal with this Charizard. Right now, he's going to be struggling to find it, especially after this Mega Evolution. He does confirm he's taking the more untraditional Charizard route. Mega Charizard X is going to be the choice from Wolfe here. Both these Pokemon on his side are also going to get Electro Web to start the turn by Ashton's Tapu Koko, so those speeds already coming right down. Charizard's Will-O-Wisp is going to fail into the Misty Terrain, maybe trying to call something like the Salamence on the way in, but it doesn't really matter. Tapu Fini is going to hang on from this Wood Hammer.
Yeah, that's a big Moonblast going into the Tapu Bulu. Going to do well over half. It's actually going to pick up the knockout on that Tapu Bulu. That Choice Spec's coming in handy. And Tapu Fini, never see it surviving a hit from the Tapu Bulu just to retaliate with its own KO. So phenomenal for Ashton. And bit of a misread there from Wolfe. It sets him back even further as the Will-O-Wisp fails into the Misty Terrain.
Yeah, I think he was expecting the Salamence to come in there, try and get the Intimidate down, and also absorb that Wood Hammer really well. But it wasn't going to be the case. At least for Ashton, though, we do see his Choice Scarf Landorus come in, and that can start tidying things up a little bit here. Something like the Earth Power would be so nice at just picking up that Tapu Koko, knocking down that Tapu Fini a peg or two.
Usually that Tapu Koko does go down to the Earth Power, but because of the Assault Vest, very unlikely that would go down to an Earth Power. And unfortunately for Wolfe, he does have the Flare Blitz to potentially knock out the Tapu Fini here. It is faster. It is such low health that it can clean it up. But the fact that Tapu Koko can hang on and potentially maybe go for the Sky Drop here, maybe this is how you keep that Tapu Fini on the field if you do want to do so. But you have to be very careful if you do, because that Landorus could just be switching out eventually soon too.
Yeah, the Landorus will U-turn away onto this Tapu Fini, immediately leaving the field there. It isn't the one with a slower speed stat, though. That's actually the Charizard X that wants to maybe switch out and reset its speed back to neutral. This does mean we will see Wolfe's last Pokemon here. We've got a full view of the team, and it will be the Tyranitar. So both Milotic and Aegislash left at home for this one. Sandstream coming into play. That's going to be one of the weathers that he actually doesn't mind at all. Tapu Koko will Volt Switch here, so we're going to see a little bit more of Ashton's team. It just doesn't do much damage at all onto this Mega Charizard X. Time to see the selection. If he has got the Salamence, now's a good time for Wolfe to know about it. Ashton will be able to play quite wisely around it, I think.
Yeah, this Salamence does have Earthquake, which is something that's huge if you're Ashton, because you need to find a way to deal with this Tyranitar now that you've lost your Tapu Fini. And that Flare Blitz is going to connect with that Salamence, but shouldn't be doing too much damage without a critical hit. And hopefully there is no burn if you are Ashton, and looks like there isn't, and Salamence will be in a pretty decent spot, getting the Intimidate down on both Charizard and Tyranitar.
Yeah, it still does about 25% of its health, though, which I think for, as some would say, chip damage onto this Salamence, that's still in a really, really healthy position to be. So not a bad position at all. Tapu Koko does come in with the Electric Surge again, so it's Electro Weapon Volt Switch doing even more damage. And that's actually going to be the predominant terrain for the rest of the game, with Tapu Bulu and Tapu Fini already removed from play from Wolfe and Ashton respectively. Just a little bit of decision making here. How does Wolfe want to go around stopping the Salamence?
He does have that Will-O-Wisp on the Charizard. Like we said, Tapu Fini is gone now, and Salamence, of course, being the flying type Pokemon, can get burned now by this Charizard. Shouldn't be taking too much damage from something like the Tapu Koko, but say something like a Nature's Madness plus 8 return would be enough likely to knock out that Charizard X. So if Wolfe can get the Will-O-Wisp connected with the Salamence, he'll be in a much better spot.
I always forget what an overpowering combo Nature's Madness and then any damaging move is, because there's so many moves that deal over 50%, you're always going to be in a good position to deal with it. Charizard not trying to get the damage off right now, doesn't really get caught by another Electro Web, so it will just protect itself. Salamence is going to return, also into the protect of that Charizard. This is a really good protect by Wolfe, a simple play, but so effective.
Yeah, and like we said, because that Choice Scarf Landorus, as we know, is carrying the Hidden Power Ice, can just go for an Hidden Power Ice into the Salamence, potentially pick up a knockout, and then from there, fire off something like a Flare Blitz into the Tapu Koko, likely not picking up the knockout, of course, after the Intimidate from the Salamence, but still doing a hefty chunk of damage. Also could potentially just go for something like the Roost here, try and put yourself back up to full health, and if the Salamence does switch out fearing an attack from the Landorus, Charizard will be in a much better position in the late game to potentially live a return.
Yeah, Charizard's actually going to leave the field, so he still wants to keep it for later. Tyranitar takes its place, bringing back, of course, the ability to Rock Slide his way to victory. Protect from Salamence here over on Ashton's side of the field, as Landorus playing it so smart, connecting another U-turn, not falling for the protect of the Salamence. A critical hit U-turn as well, so even better than you traditionally expect. That gives him the time to pivot back to his Mega Charizard X without the plight of the Intimidate in play.
Yeah, and let's see if he goes for something like maybe like a Sky Drop that would be able to pick up that Charizard, yes, and that would have been able to pick up the Landorus and stop it from going for a Hidden Power Ice into the Salamence this turn, but that Charizard is what the Salamence wanted to see and wanted to go for a return into. Instead, it is that Tyranitar, which is pretty free to just go for something like a Dragon Dance if it wants to, maybe fire off a Rock Slide into the Salamence. It does have to be wary because the Salamence is carrying an Earthquake and still can do a lot of damage to the Tyranitar, especially if it matches with an own Dragon Dance of its own, but Tyranitar in a very good spot.
Yeah, well, Tapu Koko will Sky Drop, releasing that Charizard from the sky. That's coming back down. Salamence just returning. No Earthquake, obviously, because of its partner, Tapu Koko. And Charizard won't be able to stick around any longer. That falling, putting the Pokemon advantage slightly in Ashton's favor now. Just 3 Pokemon to 2. Tyranitar realizes it's going to be one of the last battalion on the field and will boost its speed and attack with a Dragon Dance.
Yeah, and now with 2 Pokemon faster than Tapu Koko, Tyranitar can just go for a Rock Slide, pick up a knockout on the Salamence, and put the Tapu Koko into range of anything that Ashton potentially has here.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing here is what do you lock in with on the Landorus? You've got one chance now to select the correct move so that you can basically win the game. If you pick something like Hidden Power Ice and you're just not dealing enough damage to a Tyranitar, you're going to be in problem. Personally, I think Earth Power is the safer choice.
Yeah, Earth Power seems safe as it covers for both Tyranitar and Aegislash in the back potentially. Salamence is going to be going down to Rock Slide as long as you're connecting with the Salamence, so you don't really care about potentially Earth Powering into a Salamence if it does potentially switch in the future turns. But a Rock Slide plus an Earth Power into the Tapu Koko would currently pick up the knockouts on both Pokemon that are on the field.
Yep, well, Salamence is leaving the field, and we finally see Ashton bought that Aegislash to close out the game. Landorus' Earth Power starts off connecting with Tapu Koko, and even the Assault Vest, just enough, actually, to keep it around, as Tyranitar's Crunch will head to Aegislash on the way in, also leaving it dangerously low. Tapu Koko, Nature's Madness, missing that Landorus. That was a great turn there for Wolfe. Everything came up Millhouse.
Yeah, and now Wolfe is pretty safe to go for Earth Power, go for another Crunch, make sure you're not missing. Picking up a knockout on the Tapu Koko and the Aegislash. That Salamence in the back, if it wants to switch in, has to find the Earth Power slot and switch in on that slot. But even at that point, it's still going down to something like either the Dark Sea move or a Rock Slide if it wants to potentially go for that. But Wolfe seems to have safe, accurate options for the rest of the game just to seal up 3 quick knockouts.
Yep, Aegislash leaving the field here. Gotta cycle those Intimidates. It's the only way to keep Salamence around on the way in. The problem is, it's just so low. The Earth Power heads towards the Salamence here. Doesn't connect, but Crunch will still land on Tapu Koko and still be more than enough for a knockout.
Yeah, and now with that Dark Z move still around to go into that Salomon slot, we'll pick up a knockout there, and Earth Power should be enough to pick up the Aegis Slash. So it looks like Wolfe has played himself into a position where he can just seal up this game and win yet another regional championship.
Yeah, there's no real way around it for Ashton. Wolfe has found this endgame win condition so smartly. The Tyranitar and Landorus next to each other, full health. Basically wasn't going to be able to get out of this one too easily. He just does start out with the King's Shield, wants to try and extend this game 1, maybe 2 more turns. Landorus' Earth Power will head into that, but obviously no real downside of the King's Shield. And the Z move from Tyranitar to end this game in style.
Yeah, we're going to see both players shake hands as they know this Dark Z, this Black Hole Eclipse, is absolutely going to be knocking out the Salamence. And phenomenal game from both players. I think it really just came down to Ashton losing that Tapu Fini so early on in the game and getting into a position where, like you said, the faster Landorus and +1 speed Dragon Dance Tyranitar being able to outspeed and KO the rest of Ashton's team. So as soon as that Tapu Fini went down, Wolfe just put himself in the driver's seat.
Yep, nothing left for this Aegis Slash to do. The last bastion for Ashton's hopes and dreams there of taking this one isn't going to come through. Wolfe Glick returning to winning ways down at the regional level in this one.
Yeah, and another regional championship that Ashton will fall to Wolfe Glick in finals. So we're going to have to wait for the next time these two play in finals. I would not be surprised if it happened again, being how great they are and how many times we've seen this already. And I just can't wait till the next one.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really well-played set by Wolfe, putting on a show of exactly how it should be done on these ones. So really easy to play out. Really easy to kind of see how well he played in every single turn and why it was such a good set for us here.
All right. I think that's it from us. I think we're probably going to a winner's interview with Wolfe Glick, so stay tuned. We will be right back with the winner of the 2018 Charlotte Regional Championships, Wolfe Glick.
Welcome back to Charlotte Regionals. We are done with our finals, and I'm joined by our winner, Wolfe Glick. Wolfe, been a while, I think, since a Regionals was on your horizon, usually shooting for the bigger tournaments. How does it feel to be winning at a smaller level again?
It feels really great. Sorry, it was really loud in my ear. Yeah, actually, this is the first tournament that I've won since winning Worlds in 2016. So it's nice to finally have a win of any level.
Not even put a Premier Challenge?
I didn't go to very many. I think I went to 2. But yeah, this was like really difficult, to be honest. There was like I didn't play any opponent either day who was like easy. Like everyone was like gave me a lot of like a really hard time, and I had a lot of really really close sets. So yeah, I definitely feel happy with like what I've accomplished.
Yeah, so when the big thing we've been talking about this weekend, or I've been talking about with some people in particular, is obviously we added Intimidate Incineroar recently.
Yeah.
Was that a big factor in your team building, or were you set about 2 weeks ago and you just cracked out the same team?
Like so, I hadn't done a ton of prep like right before the tournament. I was gonna build like the week before, but this team that I ended up bringing is very very similar. Like the team I was originally going to bring to Dallas, the Dallas Regional Championships at the end of January, but I had a Salt Fest over a Choice Scarf on my Landorus. But pretty other than that, it was like almost identical. And I didn't have a team, and the reason I didn't bring this team to Dallas was because I was really afraid of Como, and like the matchup versus Como is just like really really bad. Like you have Toxic on Aegis-Slash, and that's kind of it.
Ooh, that's not a matchup.
No, yeah, it's really not. So that's why I brought Steelix to Dallas, but. Intimidate Incineroar came out, and I was like, first of all, I really like Milotic. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. I feel like it actually can be really, really good if people use it correctly. And Intimidate Incineroar is going to be really popular, so I think it's a good call. And also, the popular Como team was like Gengar and Whimsicott and Tapu Bulu, and Incineroar is really good versus all three of those, and also like adds Fake Out and Intimidate pressure versus Como. So I was kind of thinking that with the increase in Incineroar would make Como a lot worse, and therefore I was like, okay, like kind of kills two birds with one stone.
I think that's a fair assumption.
Yeah,
I've not seen many, if any, of them.
I didn't play a single one, thankfully.
Yeah, well, it's a terrible team for terrible people.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Kalmu, terrible mon, don't use it.
Unless, I'm not a big fan of it. You talk about Milotic. How many times did you actually get successful competitive boosts on?
Very often. Like the thing is with Scarf Landorus, what I would do is I would lead like Landorus and Charizard, and instead of going for U-turn, I would just hard switch into Milotic, and that baits in people. They're like, oh, Landorus and Charizard, like let me get in Landorus. That's a perfect switch in. Like even in what's it called? Incineroar. Even Incineroar is like can come in like if they know like if they have a flying type in play because they know I'm probably not going to Earthquake. So I would just hard switch into Milotic, get a boost. But it's also nice because like you shut down Icy Winds. Like Tapu Fini if it Moonblasts you, it gives you a boost half the time. Milotic got to +6 twice this weekend, so that was fun. One time was it didn't even get intimidated. It was like Electro Web and then 2 Muddy Waters, and then he got intimidated or she or whatever like Milotic is. But yeah, Milotic was really good. Not just because like sometimes I would like it didn't even matter to me if I got the boost. It was more about like controlling positioning, where it kind of put your opponent in a lose-lose situation, where it was either your physical attackers got to attack for free unreduced, or Milotic got a boost. It became even more annoying to deal with. So yeah, I feel like I really like Milotic, and I'm really glad I brought it.
It's a good. Didn't you use Milotic in I think it was like 2014, 2015?
2015, I got top 8 Nats with it, and then top 16 Worlds. This team is actually really similar to the Charizard X team I brought to Worlds. It had like Charizard, Landorus, Aegis-Slash, Milotic, and then Zapdos and Scrafty over whatever I have, T-Tar and Bulu.
Yeah, the Bulu definitely newer there. Just a fun fact before we leave.
Yeah.
If you think of Incineroar, and you think back in time, about 7 years now, you think back to Emboar. Which is the better fire starter Pokemon?
This is such an easy question. Incineroar, it thinks it's tough. That's the thing. Like Incineroar comes out here and he's like, Incineroar, like he has like everyone uses Incineroar, right? Like he's like gonna be #1 in usage, and poor Emboar was trying.
Right now.
Yeah, like and it just came out a week ago, and Emboar is trying his hardest and puts his heart in and gets top 8 at Worlds and gets no recognition. First at regionals, top 8 at Worlds, no recognition. Emboar is clearly has more heart, has more style, has more coolness factor. Is a pig. That's an easy question.
Bore.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the other thing. The deciding factor. I'm still undecided on what Incineroar is.
Is it a it's
dog, cat?
I think it's it's like a tiger, right?
It's pretty suspect for a tiger.
It stands on 2 legs, which makes things really confusing.
Yeah,
maybe it's like a really like weird kangaroo.
It's like a ripped tiger. Like you think of the
like
back,
Tony the tiger.
The back haunches. Yeah.
That's just weird, man. I don't want my Pokemon like Emboar.
It's pure. It's simple.
It's right. Yeah, he's round like an egg, and who doesn't like eggs, right?
Me, I'm actually allergic to them.
Are you really?
Yeah. Genuinely, I'm allergic to eggs.
That's awful. I'm so sorry.
This has taken quite the turn. Obviously, back to the key point. Congratulations on winning a regional.
Thank you.
Are you doing anything more the rest of the season, or are you just going to slack off to Nashville?
I definitely need to qualify. I now have 3.
Are you not qualified yet?
This is my 3rd event.
I just assumed.
No, I've got 360 now, so yeah, I need to qualify. qualify at some point. That'd be cool. So I'm gonna try and go
Showdowns
to.
for you.
I've never been to mid-season showdown, and honestly, I'm weirdly proud of that. So maybe play the ICs. I'm gonna try and go to one more regional. Gonna go to Columbus, Ohio, not Indianapolis. But I'm gonna go to Columbus, obviously.
You can go to Indianapolis if you want.
I guess
there won't be a tournament there.
That'd be really sad. But yeah, gonna go to Columbus. Try and go to at least one more regional. This is my last year in school, so really want to take time to like appreciate the people I'm with and like make sure like I'm enjoying my last year there. So I don't want to travel like too much, but definitely need to make sure I qualify. I'd like to qualify before nationals so that in case I go like 2-3, which probably would never happen unless it's 2017. But yeah, or something like unless like I'd like to qualify before nationals so that even if I bomb out like I did the last 2 years, I can still like go to Worlds.
Yeah. So make sure you got the invite locked and then play nationals for more for fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Well, we will see you for the rest of the season. Thank you very much, everyone at home, for joining us over the course of the weekend here on the Battle Factory. Wolfe Glick, your winner here in Charlotte, and we'll be back soon with more regionals action.